Welcome to What the Flock, the podcast dedicated to keeping, breeding, and raising parrots in the home. With topics from why are my babies humping each other to why is my budgie's butt covered in poo, we'll cover all the difficult topics one might need to know about while raising parrots from small to large in the home. I've been raising parrots by hand for nearly 30 years. I'm still no expert, but I sure have learned a thing or two that may just help you out. So let's see what's in this edition of What the Flock. Next on What the Flock Do They Need? Selecting perches for bird cages. Birds spend the majority of their time standing on their feet, so good perches are essential, and just as good as they prefer a comfortable pair of shoes, birds need comfortable perches. Birds also use perches to rub their beaks and to remove pieces of food. An ideal perch is easily cleaned, comfortable to the bird, and of the proper material and diameter to prevent foot problems. Perches may be stationary or swinging. All cage items, including perches, should be selected knowing that birds like to chew, shred, and destroy things, and therefore items will often need to be replaced. The most common perches are made out of wood, such as dowels and natural branches. In addition to being good perches, natural branches also make good chew toys for the birds. Wooden dowels are generally too smooth or do not provide good traction. Perches made from fibers such as sisal, untreated cotton rope, clothesline, and cloth are also used. A cloth perch may be made by rolling up a long piece of cloth or padding a perch made out of other material, such as a dowel. Flat bottom hutches can also be made or purchased. Plastic, acrylic, and PVC pipe have the advantage of being easily cleaned. Ideally, they should have an uneven surface so they are less slippery. Be sure that they are made from non-toxic material. If you find your bird easily chews off pieces of the plastic or PVC, avoid using those materials and find another type of perch. Cement and mineral perches are also available. These perches have the advantage of helping keep the beak and toenails from becoming overgrown. They may cause irritation if the bird uses them too often, so perches made from other materials should also be available. Sandpaper should not be used on perches or in your cage whatsoever. As for cleaning and maintenance, plastic, rubber tubing, acrylic, and PVC are readily cleaned. They can be washed in disinfectant, rinsed well, and allowed to dry thoroughly before placed back in the cage. A good disinfectant is a 1 to 32 dilution of household bleach. Half cup of bleach to 1 gallon of water, usually. Avoid scented disinfectants and those containing pine oils. Dowels can be cleaned with perch scrapers. If heavily soiled, they too can be disinfected, rinsed, and dried. Rope, clothesline, and cloth can be washed or simply replaced. Monitor such a perch closely for fraying or loose ends so the bird does not eat any of the strings or get threads wrapped around his toes. Natural branches and cement perches can be more difficult to clean since they have more crevices. Wire brushes can be used to clean the soiled areas, and then the perch can be disinfected as described, or boiled in water and thoroughly dried. To avoid possible foot problems, any perch should be completely dry before being placed back in the cage. If using natural branches, they should be from a non-poisonous plant in areas which have not been sprayed or treated with insecticides or herbicides. Good sources of natural branches include most fruit trees, nut trees, ash, elm, dogwood, and magnolia. Grapevines can also be tried. To avoid introducing insects or disease from wild birds into the cage, these branches should be cleaned with disinfectant, rinsed and dried in the sun, boiled in water, or placed in the oven at 250 degrees for 10 to 20 minutes, depending upon the diameter of the perch. As for diameter, small-sized species usually include finches, canaries, parrots, parakeets, lovebirds are 3/8 to 3/4 inch. Medium-sized birds, cockatiels, conures, lories, senegals are 5/8 to 1 1/4 inch perches, and large birds, African greys, Amazons, macaws, cockatoos are 1 to 2 inches. As a general rule, a bird's foot should wrap itself about 2/3 around the perch. The perch should never be so small that the bird's front toes meet or overlap the back toes. As for placement, perches should be in the front of food and water dishes so the dishes can be easily reached by the bird. To avoid droppings, contamination in the food and water, avoid placing the perches over the dishes. Perches should be placed so that the bird's tail will not touch the side of the cage when it's sitting on the perch, and his head will not reach the top of the cage whatsoever. Avoiding some of the downfalls of perches, and you will have a beautiful, happy birdie for the rest of his life. Next on What the Flock Do They Need? How and why to switch your bird to a pellet diet. Why? Well, diet's the most important factor in your bird's life. A poor diet can be underlying causes of many health problems. Feeding pellets as 80% or more of the total diet will guarantee that your bird has a balanced and complete diet. Feeding pellets will also, first, improve the health and appearance by supplying vitamins and minerals that are deficient in your seeds. Seeds are deficient in over 30 different important and vital nutrients. Pellets are 100% complete and balanced. Second, provide consistent quality and cleanliness by using high-quality ingredients and processing to eliminate harmful bacteria and fungi. Third, prevent waste and mess by providing 100% edible food product and eliminating the 40 to 70% of inedible hulls and fillers that make up seed mixes. Fourth, eliminate the guesswork. Pellets are formulated specifically for the needs of your pet bird, so you'll know that your bird is getting everything it needs for a balanced and complete diet. And fifth, up-to-date knowledge and improvements. Pellet diets were developed through decades of field research in pet nutrition. So just how do we do it? Well, pellets are the only diet that can offer complete and balanced nutrition. Your bird's diet should be at least 80% pellets, and the remaining 20% can be any treat. Fruits, vegetables, pasta, rice, beans, seed, and many other foods are acceptable treats. Persistence is the key to a better diet for your bird. You must first believe that you are doing the best for your bird. If you follow this method, your bird will be eating pellets in just 2 to 4 weeks. First, you need to have 2 food bowls in a cage. One bowl should be near the highest perch. The other bowl should be lower, near the cage bottom. In the high cup, put the pellets. The pellet bowl is to stay in the high part of the cage at all times. In the lower bowl, put seeds, or put your bird's current usual diet. Second, when giving the seeds in the lower dish, give only enough seed that it can be eaten in one sitting. I recommend giving only 1 tablespoon of seeds per bird and fill that pellet bowl halfway up. Third, seeds of the current diet are given in the morning and the evening only. Afternoon, the seed bowl is removed and the non-seed treat is offered. This treat can be any of the above-mentioned foods. If your bird does not eat any other foods, another dish of seed should be given. The process will take longer if this is the case. Do not mix the pellets directly with the seed. Fourth, a routine should now be established. Small amounts of seeds in the morning and evening, and a treat in the afternoon, and pellets available at all times. Maintain this routine for about a week. Meanwhile, observe your bird to make sure that he is consuming the pellets. Fifth, when you notice that they are eating the pellets very well, discontinue the seed in the bottom bowl and just fill with pellets in both. Next on What the Flock Are They Doing? Nest boxes. One of the major decisions facing any breeder is deciding what type of nest box that will work best for his breeding birds. In the wilds, the choice of a nesting site is not a problem. Parrots are cavity nesters and will nest in tree cavities or the hollows of large limbs. The exception is to the Quaker parrot of South America, who builds the nest from twigs and sticks. A research study showed that when parrots were given a nest box, there was a significant rise in the hormone levels in the cock and the hen. Therefore, a nest box can be the trigger for getting a pair of birds to breed. Wooden nest boxes are considered to be better because the birds are able to chew on the wood. Chewing is another stimulus for breeding. The birds will engage in the act of chewing, are further stimulated to go to the nest, producing fertile eggs. In a study of breeding cockatiels, it was found that some domestic teals' hens would not enter the nest box until the entrance was enlarged. The teal cock and the hen would spend some time chewing on the entrance to enlarge it before entering the box for use as a nest. When breeding parrots in captivity, some thought it was given to what type of nest box to provide for successful breeding. There are several types of nest boxes available, including metal, plastic, wood, and cardboard boxes from which to choose. Metal and plastic nest boxes are going to last longer than the others. Parrots usually are not able to destroy a metal nest box. This durability would seem to make this a good type of nest box, especially with parrots who are more destructive. A major disadvantage to these boxes is it's used outside, they absorb heat and stay hot. The metal does not cool down and the inside of the box becomes like an oven. Even if the nest box is located in the shade during the summer, the inside of the nest box can get as hot as the eggs and the chicks can be lost. Another concern for the breeder is what type of nesting substrate should I put in the box for breeding birds. There are different types of substrates available. Some of these are bird pellets, dog food, and some have suggested using oatmeal. While these are digestible, they have a very limited ability to absorb liquid, and once contaminated with old food or droppings, well, the wet fecal matter is ripe for growing bacteria, mold, and fungus. Other breeding, such as cedar shavings, may cause respiratory distress in young chicks. The use of corncob bedding, soft facial tissue, or grass fibers is not recommended as substrates, as they do not provide a good foothold for the chicks, and it increases the possibility of splayed legs. Pine shavings are thought to be a good substrate. However, any type of wood shavings should have a low dust content. Too much dust may cause respiratory or eye problems because of the dust of the shavings act as an irritant. Wood chunks can be used in the nest box, but care must be taken when using these because if the parents or the chicks chew on the wood chunks, it's possible for the crop to become impacted. This may result in the loss of birds or chicks. Just be sure to use an appropriate bedding substrate in your nest box. A large nest box is well lighted is not natural for any species of parrot. A well-lit tree cavity simply do not exist in the wild. Most parrots will reject nesting site that is too large or that is too well lit. In the wild, it appears that parents choose cavities that are narrow and deep and seem to prefer smaller spaces when choosing nesting sites. Parrots in the wild will choose sites where the entrance is too small to allow the bird entrance into the nest. Therefore, the bird must chew in the opening to make it large enough for the birds to climb inside, which makes sense on our wooden perches and our wooden nest boxes and our cages. When cage breeding, it's better to attach the nest box to the outside of the cage rather than to place it inside. There should be a perch placed in a small space below the entrance to the nest box. This gives the cock a place where he can see into the nest and also watch the happenings around the nest box. Male cockatiels are quite aggressive when their hens have eggs or chicks, so it's wise to be very cautious when you receive a rather nasty bite. Cockatiels are chewers just like any parrot. In the wild, it isn't nesting substrate, so they will chew around the entrance of the tree and cavity and create the wood chips for the nest box themselves as a substrate for their chicks. Wooden boxes are usually preferable. They'll give the bird an opportunity to chew, and it would seem that it would indicate chewing on the board triggers breeding activity. There's many reasons to breed cockatiel chicks. The most obvious is the love of the bird and desire to produce healthy, happy, loving chicks who are a joy to those that own them. And now for our Pet of the Week. This week's Pet of the Week is the newest addition to the Reverend Jeff's household. His name is Chuck. He's just about 5 weeks old, and he's still on baby formula, like short flights from the brood box to my forehead while in between feedings. I sure would like to thank everyone for watching this week's edition of What the Flock. Feel free to find us on Facebook at facebook.com/WhatTheFlockPodcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram as Flock Podcast as well. We'll see you next time, and may the flock be with you.